In the same notes, we're going to talk about the double angle identities. You do not need to memorize these. You'll be given these formulas on the test. You just have to be able to use them and be familiar with them. The first one we have is sine of 2 theta, and that's the same as 2 times the sine of theta times the cosine of theta. Tangent of 2 theta is equal to 2 tan theta divided by 1 minus tangent squared theta. And then the cosine of 2 theta has 3 different options. You could say that it's cosine squared minus sine squared, 2 cosine squared theta minus 1, or 1 minus 2 sine squared theta. And you can use, again, any of those 3. Let's take a look at example 1. We want to evaluate expressions involving double angles. If we know the sine of theta is negative 7 over 25, and it terminates in quadrant 3, we want to evaluate sine of 2 theta, cosine of 2 theta, and the tangent of 2 theta. So the first thing we have to do is set up our triangle. So if we're in the third quadrant, I'm going to set my triangle up in the third quadrant, which is here. Here's my angle theta, and then opposite is negative 7. Move this over just a tad. Over my hypotenuse, which is 25. Then I can use the Pythagorean theorem to get my third side, or if I know my special triples, I can say that this is negative 24. Then I want to find the sine of 2 theta, cosine 2 theta, and tangent of 2 theta. So let's start with the sine of 2 theta. The sine of 2 theta is going to be equal to, from the formula up here, 2 times the sine of theta times the cosine of theta. So I have 2 times the sine of theta times the cosine of theta. So 2, now the sine of theta, I already know is negative 7 over 25. So I'm going to multiply by negative 7 over 25. And then the cosine of theta I can get from my triangle here. Cosine is the adjacent over the hypotenuse. So negative 24 over 25. And then I can just multiply this together using my calculator, simplify it, and you get 336 over 625. Try that on your calculator. Make sure you get the same answer. If you have questions, let me know. Otherwise, we're going to do the cosine of 2 theta. Now remember, with the cosine of 2 theta, there are 3 different formulas that you can use, and it does not matter which one you use, as they will all come out to be the same answer. So if I do cosine of 2 theta, I'm just going to do the very first one. Take the cosine squared minus the sine squared. Again, you don't have to. You could use these as well. If I do cosine squared theta minus sine squared theta, move this over just a little bit. The first thing I need is the cosine. So the cosine of theta we already said was negative 24 over 25. So I'm taking negative 24 over 25 and squaring it. Minus sine squared theta is taking the sine and then squaring that, which is negative 7 over 25. And then again, that's going to be squared. Plug that all in your calculator, change it back to that fraction, and you should see that you get 527 over 625. And like I said before, it's always a good idea to check to make sure what you're plugging in the calculator is matching up with what I have here, just to catch any little mistakes before. Next, what we're going to do is the tangent of 2 theta. So I'm going to scroll up a little bit. So tan of 2 theta, using the formula from above, that's 2 tangent theta over 1 minus tan squared. So 2 times the tangent of theta, so the tangent's going to be the the opposite over the adjacent. So negative 7 over negative 24, which will become a positive. So this is positive 7 over 24, divided by 1 minus 7 over 24 squared. So on the top, if we go ahead and multiply 2 by 7 over 24, we'll get 7 over 12. and we're just dividing that by 1 minus, and then we'll take 7 over 24 and square that, which will give us 49 over 576. And at any point in time, you can just plug it all into your calculator. So now if I plug this all in, I'll end up with 336 over 527. So again, plug that in, make sure you're doing it correctly and you have the right answer. If not, let me know. Next, I'd like you to do the try this. So go ahead and pause the video and unpause it when you're ready to check your answer. If you did the try this correctly, you should get the sine of 2 theta to be 24 over 25. The cosine of 2 theta is negative 7 over 25. And the tangent of 2 theta is negative 24 over 7. If you have questions, let me know.